and we will get started. All right, so we are talking about leveraging Cloverleaf across the employee life cycle. This is something that when we started our Train the Trainer program, are implementing a Cloverleaf in your organization that I really wanted to focus on because Cloverleaf is really a way that you can use a platform beyond an assessment, beyond a one-time use. You can really leverage it in every stage of the employee life cycle. Now, I know there's many different models of the employee life cycle, and maybe you have a favorite one. Maybe some models have development, common different development swap with retention, so you may be attached to one. I'm going to use a specific one. I blend attraction and recruitment into one stage just because we don't usually use Cloverleaf a lot for hiring. So we're not going to spend a ton of time there, but I am going to give you some helpful tips in that stage as well. So for our agenda, we're going to give you a quick poll. I will share an upcoming learning opportunity. I am going to give you some tips, strategies, some different ways you can integrate Cloverleaf into attracting and recruiting people. Of course, we don't subscribe to using Cloverleaf as a decision maker for hiring. We're not going to talk about that in any way, but we're going to talk about how can you actually share with potential candidates and interviewees, hey, we use Cloverleaf here, and different ways you can let people know that. And then we're going to talk about how you can integrate Cloverleaf in the onboarding process. How do you use it in that ongoing sort of phase of development? How do you use it even in retention? And yes, how can you use Cloverleaf even if people are leaving? You may say, how will I do that if they're leaving? You can still use it in that stage. We'll ask you for some feedback. You can ask questions throughout, but if you have some questions at the end, we'll have some time for that. There is actually another webinar coming up next week that Jason is going to lead. I'll be playing the Jason role next week. And for that's going to be focused on managers and individual contributors. And then our May webinar will be everybody all together. So what we're doing, if you didn't attend the webinar last month, we're kind of every other month sort of doing a split audience focus. So next month we'll have everybody together. The following month we'll do talent leaders, coaches and consultants, and managers and individual contributors. So let's just jump right in. We do want to see, however, everybody is still invited to everything. So we still want to understand who's coming to our webinars. Oh, sorry, let me go back. So tell us about you. So put that poll up there. Let us know who's present. So if you're a senior or C-suite talent leader, just tell us that you're that. So take the poll. If you're a director or manager level talent learning leader, tell us that that's who you are. If you're a manager of a team, great. Let us know that that's who you are. If you're an individual contributor, tell us. If you're a coach or consultant, raise your hand and tell us that's who you are. And again, this particular webinar is going to be talking about how to integrate these Cloverleaf into these specific people processes. So I'll be kind of gearing it towards that. But again, anybody can get value out of this. So just let us know. Are you that senior C-suite talent leader? We have a few more people. A couple more people answer the poll. All right, so we'll close the poll now. So it looks like we're tied, right? So we're tied with the director. You can share the poll, Jason. We have director, manager, talent level, learning leader, manager of a team, and coaches and consultants are all tied. All right. Third, a third, a third, and then we have an individual contributor and a senior talent leader joining us. All right. Okay. So here we go. So just want to let everybody know we do have our spring cohort open. We already have almost 10 people already in the cohort. So we do try to cap this. We have a couple more spots left. So I do want to let you know if you're thinking about coming into this cohort, who is this for? Trainers, facilitators, coaches, consultants, HRBPs, any leader that's accountable to lead and guide teams to use Cloverleaf. You can be internal or external. What is it? How does it work? It's a hybrid course. It's 4 90-minute live interactive workshops, 8 self-paced video modules. We are going to be launching some new features coming up, and I am going to show you one of those new features. Some of these new features are incredibly important to, especially if you're a talent leader, to your people processes. I'm going to be showing you one of them today. Some of you may be in organizations that already have them. Some of you are going to be getting them if you're a coach or consultant. You'll be getting them later this month. There are self-paced modules. Again, all the live sessions are all recorded. You're going to learn to lead individuals and teams, to leverage Cloverleaf, debrief team dashboards, lead Cloverleaf team development sessions. And I will be I'm updating it now actually to incorporate the new AI coach features that are launching, that are happening right now. They're literally launching, some of them launched like this week. Uh, and we also have our buy one, get one free. So if you register one person from your organization, you can get a second person at no cost. So basically, after you pay for the person, you just say, hey, Stephanie, can you put this other person in and I manually register them. So if that's something you're interested in, Jason is going to pop the link into the chat. And so that is how you can, all the information is right here. If you can't make one of the sessions, totally okay. It's all recorded. And all of the self-paced videos, you do at your own pace in between each session. It's not a ton of time. And again, it's just really helpful. You get to really learn how to really facilitate using Cloverleaf in a really profound way. All right, so attraction and recruitment. You might say, Stephanie, don't use Cloverleaf for that. Well, here's the thing. You really want to consider what people want when they come to organizations. And if you look at all the surveys, all the Gallup data, all the Korn Ferry data, people want to be developed. Well, what does Cloverleaf do? It develops people. People want that when they come to work. They want that when they take a job. So you might want to include in your job descriptions, stand out, right? You want to include in your job descriptions that as part of your employee value proposition, as part of what makes you a great employer, right? You mention in these conversations and in the interviews that you're having, the conversations, the job descriptions, the recruiter conversations, that, hey, every employee gets personalized AI coaching. And if you're afraid to say AI, I know everyone's like afraid, you can just say you can say personalized automated coaching. You can say, a development platform. You can say validated assessment. You could say team insights. You can say, hey, we reinforce that development happens. We understand development happens and the flow of work, right? We know that not everybody can go to a training all the time. And we help our employees and our teams adapt faster. And also we provide Cloverleaf, a platform that helps build strong work relationships early on so that you can adapt faster. You use it as a way to let people know, hey, our company is really serious. We're committed to you growing with our organization, to teams being effective, and also to long-term success. Okay. So this is super important. Okay. So you already have this, Pedro. You have, this is just you, you have Cloverleaf, so you're good. So don't worry. So this is me giving you suggestions of like how you would say in a job description, hey, we use Cloverleaf here, right? So also, so this is all, by the way, this is in your resource. So this is all the stuff that's in your resource. There's more information in your resource that's on the slides. Okay. So then you can say in a job description, hey, look, every employee receives access to Cloverleaf. And they're going to say, oh, what's Cloverleaf? They're going to Google that. Oh, if I work here, I get that. Okay. Hey, this is a platform that unites assessment, data, and coaching. Okay. Oh, I'm going to get that if I go there. Every employee gets that. That makes you as an employer attractive. As part of our employee experience, we provide Cloverleaf to help team members better understand their work style. Again, that makes it really attractive to a job posting. That's something different. We invest in development from day one, okay? That's so important for people. People want to know that they can grow and develop, they can further their career development. We give employees personalized coaching and insights and the tools they already use, okay? So again, also in your actual interviews, in your interview recruiter phrasing, you can actually say, one way we support employees after they join is through Cloverleaf. each member gets access to this. You can actually share you can share the platform. I'll get to that in a minute. We use Cloverleaf as part of the employee experience. You're sharing that we have this culture of development. We share this from day one. Candidates often want to know how they're going to be supported when they come in the door. Cloverleaf is just one of those ways, right? They may ask you other ways. They may say, hey, do you provide training? How do you provide leadership development? Do you have a high potential program? Cloverleaf is one of those ways you're going to get from day one. Now, I suggest in a live virtual interview, pop the platform up. Okay. Now, when I was working in an organization during COVID, I was leading a group of coaches and I had Cloverleaf. I purchased Cloverleaf for that organization. And I would, as I was interviewing coaches, I would show them. I was like, hey, just so you know, when you join my team of coaches, you all get this. And I would show them on the interview that they would all get it. And they were like, whoa, this is amazing. Right. So I would absolutely show people in a live interview, share them the platform, put it up on the screen, right? So can be really compelling. So then these are just really just tips as a way that you can actually build Cloverleaf into these stages in your interviews, in your job descriptions. Okay. So all of this language is in your resource. You can take it. It's right here. All this language is right here in your resource. You can take it, you can use it. It's not proprietary. You can change it to reflect your culture, to reflect any of your brand language. Right? If you have any questions at any point, just pop it in the chat. But this is something that you can use in a way that you can show that your organization absolutely uses development in the flow of work. Okay, we're going to move to onboarding. Now, as an organizational development consultant, I can tell you that organizations either do this really well or really not well. And so Cloverleaf gives you the opportunity to really amplify your onboarding experience. So, new hires really struggle to understand, how does the team communicate? What is the way we do things around here? How do we communicate around here? They also struggle to understand, how does my manager prefer feedback? How do decisions get made in this team, in this organization, in this department? And so Cloverleaf can really, during onboarding, assist employees in a number of ways. First of all, immediately you want to incorporate them taking those assessments, right? In that first week, it's often like hard to, you can't throw employees getting into work. I see a question there, so I'm going to just pause for one moment. So Jeff is asking a question. So understanding that Cloverleaf's not meant to be used for selection, what are our thoughts around having hiring organizations use the culture assessments to better understand their own org, to better align with potential candidates? So look, there's many schools of thought on that. I personally just think it's not necessarily horrible to there. We do have a candidate function where you can give assessments to people prior, just to see how would that change up the team culture. You just have to be careful, right? You just have to be careful in not making those decisions. You're not using it as a decision maker. You're not using it. You don't want to have it, create any bias. And you just want to be careful about, ask yourself, why are we using it? Why are we asking to see this information? And you just have to ask why. And then depending on that answer, it's just making sure that you're using that information in a way that is constructive and not creating any bias. Right? Okay. So let's just go back to onboarding. So when in that first week of work, it's you can't just throw work at people. Taking those assessments, setting up your Cloverleaf account is the best way to sort of get people doing some things that are helping them, create some self-awareness. They can obviously use Discover to help learn how their manager and teammates prefer to actually communicate. So imagine, you don't know anybody in your team. Maybe your team's remote, maybe your team's hybrid. It's like, hey, how does the marketing team usually run meetings, right? Run their meetings. And so maybe I'm just, trying to understand how a meeting might look like, and I haven't gone to a team meeting yet, and I want to understand a little bit more about everybody. And can actually look in here, and maybe there's a little cheat sheet of some prompts about that maybe you give people in that first week. Okay. And I can understand a little bit more about, those different times, right, of how those meetings might go. Um, Use the feedback feature to make early input more clear, specific, and actionable. So if you have not gone also into the feedback feature and you don't know how to use it, we don't have time to go fully into the feedback feature. However, I have put a link to the feedback feature into the resource. Also, if you go into one of our past webinars in the last month, you can also, we did a whole webinar specifically on incorporating the feedback feature into your people processes, right? You can use that feedback feature to request feedback from your manager, from your peers, to sort of understand some pieces of how the team works. You can also set a coaching focus, so it's tied to the skills and behaviors that you actually want to work on the next few weeks. Now, I want to just point something out to you. In every section here, I've given you practical tips for talent leaders and coaches and consultants. So there's a link to the Discover prompts here. So for example, ask new hires to use Discover before their first one-on-one. If you click on this, you're going to see there's a number of prompts, right? And there's all these prompts. You can pick some of these prompts and put them on a cheat sheet for new hires, right? For whether you're a manager or if you're you're an individual contributor, you're a talent leader, you're a coach or consultant. Hey, these are some great prompts you can use for I'm starting a new role or joining a team. Look at this. I want to here's some prompts right here. I want to make a good first impression, but I also want to be authentic. What are the top 2 or 3 things people should know about how I work best, right? So here are your prompts for that new hire that you could be putting on that first week one. Here are some great prompts you could pop into Discover to help you acclimate with your team. Okay. But what I want to show you now is I'm going to highlight and preview the new expanded coaching focus feature. And this is great to use in onboarding. Okay. So you might know coaching focus as just selecting that one box of like building confidence, developing leaders. Some of you may be in an organization that has the new coaching focus. You will be seeing in the next several weeks the new coaching focus. And this is what it looks like. So I'm going to click here. Now, you used to have coaching focus over here, right? You used to click over here and it said coaching focus. But now, in a couple of weeks, you're going to see it over here. Okay. Coaching focus is now, I want you to think about this in a positive way. It's now like a positive development plan. It's like a leadership or a personal development plan, but not in a bad way, not like a PIP, right? This is, I want to focus on this area, and I want Cloverleaf to now send me my coaching tips about this area. So imagine a person is new on a team. Okay, so their coaching focus is now going to be much more specific. So I'm going to click coaching focus. This is new. So some of you may not have this, but I'm showing it to you now so that you can understand how in an onboarding process this might be helpful. And what this does is inform your daily coaching tips. Okay. Also, Jason also put it in the chat. If you're an organization that wants to turn this on and you're an organizational admin, you can also talk to your org admin and they can request this. If you're an organizational admin or you're a coach or consultant, you can ask for this to be turned on. So maybe you're new in an organization, or maybe you're a talent leader and you're going to advise a new person in an organization to set up their coaching focus. I am new to the team, and I would like to focus on being able to understand how to speak up in meetings as I get to know my peers. Okay? Maybe that's what I want to focus on. How do I know how to navigate the communication? Now I'm going to create the coaching focus. Okay? So it's telling you something you need help with. I'm going to know, how do I speak up? Okay? So I'm trying to understand, how to do that. And it's generating a little bit of a plan for me. Okay? And success might look like I speak up at least once in 4 or 5 meetings over the next 3 weeks, starting with low stakes contributions and building to sharing perspectives that might challenge the group. Okay. So now what it's going to do is it's going to help me for the next 3 weeks. But let's say, hey, you know what? I want to extend this out a little bit longer. So I'm going to make some changes. So now I'm going to I clicked on make changes and I'm going to type here and I'm going to, it's not letting me click here, Jason. Did I do the wrong thing?
No, I think it's still working through the nudges.
Oh,
So
okay.
once it finishes that, you
Okay.
can reopen the chat window and should be able to type.
Okay. Should I close it?
Yeah. I'm not so depending on what you type in, and how many nudges it creates for you, it's still running and creating things for you, and then it wants to finish before you
Oh, it's
can
still building it.
respond.
It's still building it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what this is doing is it's building my focus and it's going to send me my coaching tips specifically around this area. So instead of just sending me random coaching tips from my assessments, it's now sending me coaching tips to help me build confidence to speak up in team meetings because I'm new to the team. Okay. So do you see how this could be helpful in where I am um, in new to an organization or new to a team, right? I'm not sure I understand, Mario,
I
your
think it's
question.
like when you're building the focus, having some sort of like progress bar or something to like let the person know, hey, we're still putting it
I think
together.
that's what this
Good
is, building
feedback.
your coaching focus. Yeah, building your coaching
Yeah.
focus.
I think something, yeah,
You
I
kind of
agree.
get the drift. You can, in the chat box, you can say, hey, I want to do it for 6 weeks, and it's just going to add more tips, basically, is what it is. We're going to come back to this because in the interest of time, I want to keep moving. We'll leave this coaching focus building. It's just moving a little slow. But do you see it's kind of moving up here. But that's basically all it's doing is you're telling it to inform the tips in a very focused way. Okay. Okay. So we're going to come back to it. Okay. So it's gonna keep building and I'll come back to it in a second. So development, okay? We want to support everyday growth and leadership development, but here's the common challenge. Most development happens through workshops or leadership programs. But we know that development needs to happen in the flow of work. Hey, I need to have difficult conversation now. I have to give feedback to this person now. Well, how does Cloverleaf help? It helps employees and managers in the actual moments to use real work moments. And this is how people can do that. They can obviously use Discover before meetings, feedback conversations, if they're in some kind of cross-functional project and they need some understanding of, hey, how do I work with this person? I never really worked with them before. I need to kind of collaborate with them. They can use the feedback feature to make coaching and performance conversations a little bit more specific. How do I make this more actionable? They can also set a coaching focus, right? So that the coaching stays tied to something I want to work on. Let's say they just got a performance review that says, hey, you really need to work on being more collaborative. You tend to kind of work on an island. So maybe I type in that box, I need to work on being more collaborative with my team so that I feel more plugged in and create more interdependence, right? So that coaching focus may shift as well. Also, then they can receive those AI coaching moments ahead of those one-on-ones, before some of those discussions, maybe before those team interactions, and not after it. They don't have that sinking feeling after. Okay, so what do we want to highlight? So you want to actually ask employees to set a coaching focus and tie it to a real development goal. So let's say you've had a performance cycle. At the end of that performance cycle, like, hey, I want you to be able to give more feedback to your team or your peers, or lead more meetings effectively, or handle more conflict more productively. You actually give the feedback to actually set a coaching focus. Now, here's what I suggest. Included in any kind of training about performance management, or not even about performance management, just about leadership and management, create a really simple manager training that encourages managers to invite them to use their team, to use the coaching focus in their team meeting. This can be brief. It could be a 30 or 60-minute live virtual session and demonstrate using the feature, right? So you'll come in here and they'll actually use the coaching focus. I don't know why it's a little bit stuck. This is new, so it's a little bit stuck. So see, it's there. Okay. People featured in coach. It's there. There it is. Okay. So I'm gonna click on it right here. It's built. Um, so I'm gonna say, can you make it 6 weeks long? Okay. So I'm asking it to be a little longer. Okay. So now see how it says 6 weeks? It's adding more nudges. Okay. So it's adding, see the number go up, 17, right? It's adding more nudges there. Okay. So it's 18, it's adding more nudges because I don't want to, if I'm a new employee, I don't want to practice speaking up in meetings for 3 weeks. I need more time, 6 weeks. Say, so it's adding more, 20, it's keep on going. So what I would suggest doing in development, let's say you have some people that you're trying to develop, some leaders, I would do that manager training. I would teach them how to use this. And then I would say to these leaders, hey, invite your team members to set their coaching focus. Invite them in a team meeting to maybe share. They've all come out of their performance reviews in the past few weeks, right? Or maybe they all set quarterly OKRs. Invite them to set their coaching focus within Cloverleaf so that they can actually fulfill on those OKRs. For example, maybe my quarterly OKR is to finish this project with so and so and be collaborative with this department. Okay, my coaching focus is to be collaborative with, to be more collaborative and to make sure that I work cross-functionally and communicate in a very collaborative way and whatever it is. So invite the leaders to add this information into their team meeting to show people how to use this feature. So that can be a very key way to really use Cloverleaf within this stage of development by inviting leaders to then invite their teams to develop themselves. So now you're inviting the manager to set their coaching focus, and then you're inviting them to pay it forward. You're inviting them to invite their teams to do it as well. And so they can introduce the feature in their team meeting and they can say, hey, team members, you don't have to set your coaching focus now. I'm going to share with you how to use it. And then in our one-on-ones, we'll talk together about how you set up your coaching focus. Does that make sense? All you have to do is kind of explain the sort of the purpose of it. And we've given you a link to a help document here. So if you look up here, Cloverleaf's coaching focus, there's a link to it. So you don't have to go crazy figuring out what it is, how to explain it. You can actually go in here to this link about how to set your coaching focus. Okay, you can understand what is coaching focus, why does it matter. You can take this and you can build a little quick, explanation around it, and you can lead a conversation around it with your leaders, with your managers, invite them to pay it forward with their team members. Hey, and if take 15, 20 minutes in a team meeting, with your teams, and then say, hey, in our one-on-one, we'll make sure that we set your coaching focus, or you can say, hey, set your coaching focus and we'll discuss it. Maybe we'll adjust it, when we get in our one-on-one. It could be a great development exercise. And guess what? You're not having to put on some giant training, develop some giant program, get a coach for everybody. You're not having to do that. Okay. All right. Any questions? I know I've given you a lot of information so far. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so if you notice now, I have my 34 nudges are scheduled. So I have this completely updated. It says I've extended your plan to 6 weeks. I've added 18 new coaching moments that build on your foundation. The second half focuses on more advanced contributions, advocating for ideas, handling pushback, naming difficult topics, and even taking dissenting positions. There's also a mid-plan check-in at week 5 and moments to design your ongoing system so the practice sticks beyond this plan. Okay, so it's not just staying at this one area. It's kind of progressing so that I'm not just it's progressing me and challenging me throughout the way, right? It should say mid-week, mid-plan at week 3. So we have to just give that feedback. All right. So this is so Marielle is asking. So if you're working with one person, so if you're a coach or a consultant, people can. This is if you notice, this is just involving this person. So they don't have to have anybody else on the team to do this. So if you're a coach or consultant, you're working with one person, they do not have to have a team on the platform to do this. So yes, they can absolutely set a coaching focus without having somebody else on the team. So if you notice here, it says people featured in your coaching focus. It's just Avery. There's nobody else here. So I'm going to go back to coaching focus, and you'll notice that Avery has some other coaching focuses that include other people. And this one is just about himself. And this one has other people included in it. Okay. Great.
I'll jump in and take the follow-up. We cannot hide certain things at the user level. So right now, a lot of our toggles are at the organization level.
Yeah. So we can't hide my teams per se, but anybody can set up a coaching focus without having without having a team member on it. Okay. All right, so retention. We want to strengthen relationships and engagement. Common challenge, employees rarely leave because of the actual work. Why does engagement drop off? There's poor communication with the leader, the team, the organization. There's unresolved conflict. Um, and there's also feeling misunderstood. So, how does Cloverleaf help? It helps managers and teams strengthen day-to-day working relationships. They can use Discover to understand collaboration preferences. So, Pedro, that's what Discover is. So, the AI feature to help the user manage conversations and difficult conversations. So, that's what Discover is. So, for example, when you're in here, you can ask any question. I need to have give difficult feedback to Tariq about deadlines, right? So it's just looking at uh um and need guidance. I'm not spelling good here, so I'm going fast and we're out of time here. Um so this is giving you coaching based upon Tariq's assessment results. Again, this is not a training an AI model. And so this is not going out to the internet, right? So it's not ChatGPT. It's only based on Tariq's assessment results and my assessment results. Well, this is a demo account. So let me go back to the coaching history. I can go back to a previous one. So this is a previous question that this individual has asked, right? So I'll go back to this coaching question, right? So this person has asked in the past, how can let's see, how can I spot when Jordan is holding back feedback, right? And so that is giving you, a little bit of understanding how to work specifically with Jordan. Okay. And so then you can apply that information and better work with Jordan. And it's just based on Jordan's assessment results. So that's the AI feature to help prepare for those difficult conversations or prepare to work with Jordan. Now, the specific feature that's Discover, right? Now, you can also use feedback as a manager to help make recognition, coaching, and difficult conversations more constructive. And you can also use coaching focus around for this. Now, we did an entire webinar around the feedback feature here. The feedback feature here, where that you can use, I'm not, is it not?
It looks like it was turned off. Let me get that.
I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. and I'll go into our account. Okay, I'll go into our account. And so the feedback feature is a feature, it's basically like a 360 light. And you are able to request feedback. Let me show my screen again. So why this is helpful in retention. So let's say a manager is struggling to understand how to give feedback or recognition. Right? So Jason has an open feedback request. So if I am a manager and I don't know how to give recognition, I'm actually going to go to the next slide here just so I'll show you the spotlight that I put here, right? So you want to encourage the use of the feedback feature to help managers give more specific recognition. So for example, let's say that manager is struggling and they're not giving enough recognition. They need to understand, how do I do that on a more regular basis? So you could create a feedback request and you could say, I need feedback from myself. I need it from Jason. And let's say Jason's my direct report. And I'm going to ask him, what are the moments? Here's what I actually said here. What are the moments when recognition or support would mean the most to you? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to put that in here. What are the moments when recognition would mean the most to you? Right? And so I ask that question to all my direct reports, and they may have different instances, and I have to understand what that is. So when I send this to Jason, he's going to get that, right? So I'm going to add that question, and I'm going to send that to him. Now, this may get to him in Slack. Soon we're going to have the integration in Teams at some point. He may also get an email, and once he gets it, it's going to look like this, okay? So this is a request that Jason sent me. Jason said, what do you think we can do to make webinars more strategic, right? So the request that I just sent Jason, this is what a request would look like, right? So I might say something like, it might be great for us to focus on role-based webinars so that we can give people specific direction based on what matters most to them. Now, I want you to imagine that you're sending all your direct reports this information, and they are now giving you this feedback, okay? And they're learning about how you like to communicate. So see this feedback coach? This feedback coach is based on your assessment results. And so it's giving you a little bit of a checklist, and it's saying use specific examples. You could ask for the feedback and craft the webinars on what people need most. Okay. So you're going to send these requests to people. They're all going to give you back their answers based upon how you like to receive communication. Okay. And then it's going to let you know. So it's analyzing the feedback. Okay. And it says, oh, I need some more specific examples. Let's meet to discuss specific ways we can meet these needs. How about next week? Thanks for reaching out. Okay. And so you can then send this back. Okay. And then you can replace it with the AI summary, or you can choose to actually send what you said. Okay. So you can use this prompt. And then for leaders with high turnover, you may want to review this feedback together to actually let them discuss the leadership effectiveness. Okay. So this is a great way. If you're trying to retain employees, you can actually, and a leader is not being effective, a leader can collect this feedback. Hey, let's look at this feedback together. How can we look at better ways for you to engage your team if the morale is low? Okay, you ask the same question to all the team members, you gather all the feedback together. Right? So all of the links to all the features that I'm showing you are in your resource. So I know we're at time, so I just want to go over this quickly. And during separation, you can actually use Discover to actually create a a custom exit interview. So if someone is leaving, you can actually say, how can I create an exit interview for this person? And it'll share with you how to approach that. So if a person is leaving, you can actually create a exit interview approach using Discover, which can be very helpful. And then you can use the feedback feature to ask certain team members, hey, where did this person thrive? Where were they struggling? And so you can really use the platform even in separation. And that's what I shared here. And there's a prompt here. I need to prepare an exit interview for this team member and assess whether key relationships were strained by differences in communication. So you can actually prepare that. Okay. Now, there's a lot of other practical tips in this resource besides the one I shared with you. So I strongly encourage you to look at some of these ideas. There's a lot of them here. I gave you a lot of different things you can do here, but we would like your feedback. If you're still with us, we would love to hear how this webinar did go for you. There's a lot of things that we did share. So it's so important to get your feedback because we actually craft these webinars based upon the things that you do share with us. So if you have just a minute or two left and you're able to share with us your feedback. This will just take about 60 seconds. If you could just share with us your role, okay? And then share the organization you work for. So the link to this is in the chat. Jason just posted it. And then just say how you would rate the value of the webinar. Share the valuable takeaway. Say maybe I learned about how to use the feedback feature. If we would offer more talent leader coach specific webinars like this, describe your interest level. And if you had to pick the most important topic you would want addressed in a future webinar that was directed specifically toward talent leaders or coaches, what one topic would you pick? Maybe you want to learn specifically about how to integrate Cloverleaf into leadership programs, and then share any additional feedback. Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions? If you have any other questions, we'll also stay on for another minute or two while you're finishing that, if you have any questions at all.
Yeah, and again, if you do want to try out that coaching focus, it looks like a couple of you have reached out about it. Happy to get that on. Just send me a chat via our chat bot, and I can get that enabled for you pretty quick. So again, thank you all for coming by. But yeah, if you are interested, I am happy to enable that for y'all. No problem, Jeff. Thanks
Okay.
for thanks for coming.
All right. And if you have any other questions, so I will send you an email tomorrow once the video is in the resource. But if you have any questions, you can also follow up with that email. The new features, again, are all of the help documents for the features that I spoke about are in your resource. So nothing that I went over does not associated with is with that feature. So with those features. So everything that I went over has those help documents linked in there. I wanted to make sure that you didn't have to go searching around for like, how do I use this? So thank you so much. Thank you for being here, Pedro. And Thank you very, very much for your time and your attention. I know it's precious. I also know this is holiday time. So for anybody celebrating Passover or Easter, wishing you a very happy holiday. And thank you so much, everybody, and have a wonderful day. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. See ya.